to another exciting episode of Kiyan Chronicles, where we explore the stories of visionaries, entrepreneurs, and creators who are reshaping industries and making an impact. I'm your host, Kiyan Popley, and today we're diving into the world of coffee. More specifically, the specialty coffee culture that's brewing in India. Our guest is none other than Nishant Kumar Sinha, a powerhouse in the Indian food and beverage industry. As the founder of Roastery Coffee House, Nishant has redefined the coffee experience in India, elevating it to new heights with his passion for specialty coffee and commitment to quality. But that's not all. Nishant is also behind Colloquial Chocolates, where he brings artisanal chocolates to the forefront, showcasing the rich flavors of Indian cacao. And as if that wasn't enough, he's also the co-founder of PS Cheese, dedicated to delivering exceptional cheese products that complement the culinary landscape of India. So grab your favorite drink, whether it's a rich coffee, decadent chocolate, or gourmet cheese, and join us as we embark on this delicious conversation with Nishant Kumar Sinha. Can you tell us about your early relationship with coffee? Was coffee always a part of your life growing up, or did you discover your passion for it later?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It really means a lot, interacting with somebody like you. I really don't know, but one incident that I remember as when I was growing up, my grandfather was working with Indian Railways, and I grew up in a very, very small town, probably rather a village, and we didn't have an access to coffee. But because my grandfather had a exposure of the food and beverage industry, he kind of brought a Nescafe coffee sachet powder to our home, and then that was my first encounter with coffee. When I recall now, I feel that whatever happened at that point of time, it was something for it was making me ready for the future. And post that, I just started loving coffee. Like a lot of people growing up, they have tea. While I was growing up, I was having a lot of coffee, and all thanks to my grandfather.
Thank you for sharing that. What inspired you to start Roastery Coffee House? What makes your coffee brand stand out in a crowded market?
I mean, as I mentioned, my first encounter to coffee was because of my grandfather. And luckily, I went to, my graduation was in hotel management. And when I was passing out from the college, one of my professor told me at that point of time, he was very visionary, and he was very kind enough to share that with me that Nishant, I mean, I went to him for an advice. Which industry shall I pick up, or what kind of job shall I take? Because I was a bit confused. Like I wanted to be a chef. I had a good knowledge of kitchen, and my hand were good as a chef. But when I went to him, he told me that Nishant, if you really want to do something better in your life, I think coffee is an industry that you should pick up, because coffee is something which is going to thrive, which is going to do pretty, pretty well. And this is, I'm talking about in 2007. So imagine a level of thought process of my professor at that point of time. And all thanks to him, I started working with CCD. So Cafe Coffee Day was a big name back then, and I really owe my life to them, because whatever I've learned, I learned a lot working with them. So they came to my college for a campus placement, and I kind of applied, and then I got a job, and I started working in Delhi. But post that, I got a lot of other opportunities, and one of the opportunity came from Hyderabad, and I was really looking forward to be working here. So I moved to Hyderabad because of that, and then I ended up being here. So I'm more of a Hyderabadi now than because I was born in Bihar, but I'm more of a Hyderabadi now. So coming to your question, I mean the reason I wanted to explain you in detail, because so that you know that it was not actually planned. If you look at, it was not that I thought. It's just that universe guided me to be in the coffee industry, and then I happened to continue my life in coffee industry. And then when I moved to Hyderabad, I started working here for other brands. And then eventually, because of being with coffee, and then for the love of coffee, I kind of started working with more cafes here. I became a consultant, and then I was running a lot of cafes here, and then helping a lot of cafes here. And then eventually, when I in 2017, I saw a void in the market, that there's a lot of cafes in Hyderabad, and there are a lot of coffee brands in Hyderabad, but none of them were coffee specific. Like cafes were more for for you to go hang out or sit
Right.
and probably
Right.
enjoy maybe the food or something else, which is also good. I mean, at least those brands and those cafes shaped a lot of other things for us. but coffee specific things, the quality coffee was not there, and that is what kind of it, moved me. That is what inspired me to open my own coffee shop, which is coffee specific, and that's how we ended up doing Roastery Coffee House.
Interesting. India is predominantly a tea drinking country. How did you navigate the challenges of introducing specialty coffee and successfully build a market for it with Roastery Coffee House?
Oh, see, it's good that India is a tea drinking country, and we at least have an option of drinking tea. Like, we know that what tea does to our body. So, it's a kind of caffeine, and coffee is just another thing. Like, it also gives you a caffeine. So, when you're drinking tea, it is very easy for you to shift towards coffee. And our fight is not with the tea, that it's a tea drinking country and we have to shift towards
Right,
coffee or
right.
something like that. Ultimately everybody has their own preferences and they want to drink and eat what they like to drink and eat. But yes, when I started roastery, I never thought that tea is a problematic thing for us. I mean, I also enjoy drinking tea a lot, and but coffee is something it's a very global drink. See, India has also become very global, and we all are traveling. Like, I'm sure in your school also, there's a lot of cross culture happening, and then you're getting to know different cultures and different activities and different kind of things. Getting exposed to. Similarly, India, the population of India has become very global, and there is a thing for coffee. Like, coffee. Once you start drinking it, there is no going back. So it's a product that eventually people like it, people start enjoying it. And we knew that for sure that if you just give coffee, it's just not going to work. So we need to create an environment where people can feel comfortable and drink coffee. So we created an environment which is like a house kind of environment. So that's why we call it Roastery Coffee House. So it's roastery because we roast our coffee. It's also a coffee shop, and it's inside the house. So our concept is built inside the house, and coffee is always in between space for me. Like, the way you go to your office, the way you go to your home, you also go to a coffee shop. You also go to a cafe where you
Right,
sit and enjoy.
right.
So I wanted to bring that kind of environment, and that's why we ended up doing a cafe inside the house, and we served a high quality coffee, and I think people just started liking it.
Nice, nice. That's great. I really like that perspective though.
Thank you.
Could you share some insights on your brand local chocolates?
Yeah, so Kulukal is all about, just the way we do in coffee. We source one of the finest quality coffee available in India, and then we have our unit where we roast it to perfection and serve. Similarly, Kulukal is all about chocolates, where we source one of the finest, cacao available in Indian farms, and we bring it to our factory, and then we
Right.
process it into the finest artisan chocolate. So Kulukal is all about from farm to, table, bean to bar chocolate.
What is the concept behind PSG's cafe and how is it different from other cafes?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. PSG's is probably one of its kind of brand in India, and just not in India, in the world. There are very hardly any kind of you know concept which exists like PSG's. So in PSG's, we do exactly what we do with coffee and chocolate. We work with the Indian coffee and the Indian
Right,
chocolate.
right.
In PSG's, we are working with the Indian milk, the local Hyderabadi milk. And the funda is very simple, that we wanted to make the finest quality fresh cheese. We didn't want to get into the aged cheese. So if you look at the market is all about aged cheese and processed cheese, wherein we wanted to give the fresh cheese experience,
Right,
which is like mozzarella,
right,
burrata,
right.
ricotta, feta, and cream cheese. So that is why we started PSGs, and touch wood. I mean, the acceptability in the market is really, really nice for that.
You bring up a good point.
Thank you.
What makes Indian coffee unique in terms of flavor and variety? Are there any specific regions known for producing high quality beans?
See, yeah, there are many factors which can prove that the Indian coffee is high quality. One of the major factor is most of our coffees are grown under shade. So India grows all of its coffee under shade, which also means that we don't harm biodiversity, we don't harm wildlife. Most of our coffees are grown in wild. It grows in a big terrain, in big jungles, and our coffees are not grown commercially. So that makes our coffee farming very, very sustainable. The practicing, the way we grow our coffee, that's very, very sustainable. That's a way probably we should do farming, because you're not harming anything of environment in terms of producing the crop. So that is something very unique to us, and it's very, very rare in the world. So, and India also has a tab of world's finest shade grown Arabica coffee. So that kind of tag is something very different to us. It which also means that India, the coffee farms in India are surrounded with a lot of flora and fauna. For example, if you go to coffee farms in India, you will see a lot of other fruit
Right, right.
varietal growing in and around there, like probably a fig or a jackfruit or something else. You'll see a lot. So what happens because of the soil condition, the moisture, the rain, and everything,
Mm-hmm.
the the fruit, the coffee trees, they attract the character of the other things around. So
Right.
that's why if you drink Indian coffee, and specifically when you drink black
Mm-hmm.
coffees, you'll find a lot of new different notes in Indian coffee. For example,
Okay.
one of our finest quality coffee that India produces, it's called Monsoon Malabar. In Roastery also we sell quite a lot, and it's our hot selling product. So if you drink Monsoon Malabar coffee, you will find a lot of the rain, the monsooning kind of the way when the first rain happens and you see that you feel that kind of smell and that
Okay.
aroma, something like that you find in that coffee. The
Okay.
coffee is also very nutty. You'll find a lot of nutty notes in it. Similarly, like there are a lot of farms in India. If you drink those specific coffee, then you will see that okay, this coffee has probably a grape variety or maybe some kind of fruits or some kind of fruity notes to it, or maybe a chocolatey notes to it or caramel notes to it. So that is what makes Indian coffee very interesting and very different. Nowadays, we're also doing a lot of different fermentation techniques, which is also fermentation. When I say not the artificial fermentation, but a very natural way of fermenting coffee, and that also makes our coffee very very unique and very very different.
It's an amazing point.
Thank you.
How did you approach scaling your brand from one outlet to where it is now? What was the key factors that enabled your growth?
So, there is no specific answer to this, but let me try, telling you a story around it. So, what I feel, in life, anything that you want to do, the philosophy is very important. What is your philosophy? So my philosophy with coffee was always very simple, that I wanted to put this on the world map. Like, when I started in 2017 in Hyderabad, the first cafe in Banjara Hills, I remember a lot of people back then didn't even know that India grows a very high quality coffee and Indian coffee is good.
Right.
And I faced a lot of rejection initially. Like a lot of people came and said that the coffee is not up to the mark. The Indian coffee is not great. Why didn't you look at Ethiopian coffee or the Colombian coffee or some other form of coffee? And they were really fond of these South Americans, the coffee farms and the cafe. Uh, so I was always like, no, I mean, the Indian coffee is also very great. And that's where I always knew that, until and unless we don't make a mark and we don't put up our brand or maybe the Indian coffee on the world map, we will not be able to create that kind of awareness about that, Indian coffee is good. Like, for example, now you know that Indian coffee is great and, you
Right,
have
right.
included such things in your question, which is why, these are the things that motivate us to put Indian coffee on the world map. So when I say that the philosophy is very clear, and my philosophy is that, I want to put Indian coffee on the world map. And, in order to do that, whatever is required, we are ready to do. So we knew that, okay, we opened in Hyderabad and Hyderabad has become a great place for us and people are loving us over a period of time. Then we realized that, okay, instead of opening another cafe or maybe two, three more cafes in Hyderabad, let's explore other cities where we can go and talk about Indian coffee. So we chose Calcutta. We happened to open one in Calcutta. And then we realized that, okay, Calcutta also started doing pretty well. People accepted us, and now there's a lot of buzz in Calcutta. People know about Indian coffee. So we're like, okay, now let's go global. Let's go to a different world, different country where we can also go and talk about the Indian coffee. And there was no better place than opening in Finland, because Finland has the highest per capita consumption of coffee in the world. So we thought that if we can go and make our mark, uh, I mean, just not Indians would feel pride, but the world would also know that the quality of coffee in India is significantly very very high.
Hmm.
So the philosophy is very simple, that we want to put Indian coffee on world map, and we are doing everything which is required to do that.
That's a unique point. Nishant, we've heard that Roastery Coffee House has gone global with your first international location opening in Finland. How did this expansion come about?
Yeah, as I said, the philosophy is very important, and our philosophy is that we want to put Indian coffee on world map. And the reason we chose Finland because it has the highest per capita consumption of coffee in the world. And we thought that if we do it in Finland, I mean, we'll create a noise just not in the Indian market, but globally also people would know that Indian coffee is significantly good,
Right.
and our coffee is good. And The plan is very simple that we want to open a cafe. We have not yet opened. We're looking forward to open probably in the next 15 days. And we are really hoping that it would do good. And if it does well in Finland,
Right?
probably then we'll move to Copenhagen, then we'll move to London, we'll go to Paris, or we'll go to other European country, and then
Right.
we'll open Roastery Coffee House there.
Roastery Coffee House has experienced remarkable growth. Are you able to share any insights on your sales?
Yes, absolutely. We are like, our numbers are out and out. We have six roastery coffee house cafes in India, three local and one PSG's outlet. So put together, we have 10 cafes. The last year, we have crossed 60 crore mark. And this year, we are hoping to cross 100 crore with addition of five more cafes. So three cafes we have already signed up. One opening in Lucknow, one in Noida, and one more opening in Hyderabad. We are opening in Kokapet, and I'm revealing here for the first time. And two more cafe is we are about to sign. So hoping to cross 100 crore mark this year.
Wow. Nishant, you decided to trademark cranberry coffee, which stands out as an intriguing flavor combination. What inspired you to create this blend and what made you feel it was worth trademarking?
See, I mean, this before cranberry coffee invention, world of coffee was either black or milk. I mean, either you drank coffee black or you drank coffee with milk, right? But I always knew that India is a land of fruits, and we love, eating fruits. And I always wanted to experiment fruits and coffee together because we're a land of fruits, also means that we like sweet stuff. And I also wanted to create a new kind of beverage line, which eventually people get into it and dive into more different kind of forms. So we started experimenting with mango, pomegranate,
Right,
and papaya and a lot of other drinks.
right,
But eventually we ended up settling down with cranberry because it was just not my choice, but it was a lot of customers' choice. We started sampling and a lot of people started loving it.
right,
As a result, it became a drink without which a lot of people can't survive. And looking at the numbers at Roastery, looking at the popularity at
right.
Roastery, right now in India, there are around 500 cafes serving cranberry coffee,
Wow.
which makes it a very very popular and very very good drink. And just not there. I mean, the story doesn't stop there. Looking at cranberry coffee, a lot of people have started making other kind of coffees also.
Right.
Like people are now mixing coffee with lychee, or people are mixing coffee with pomegranate and orange and whatnot. So and the coconut and a lot of other things.
Right,
So
right,
the
right.
new line of beverages has started because of the cranberry coffee innovation. And then we are very fortunate enough that we ended up doing this in Hyderabad. So, and the reason we got this trademark done because India is a land where a lot of new things has happened, but we have never ever documented anything. Like we are very very poor in terms of documentation. We have not, for example, there was a huge fight between West Bengal and Odisha for Rasagulla. Still people don't know the truth behind. Like Odisha ultimately won, but we really don't know where was it discovered and where was it originated. So down the line, the only hope, let's say, because right now a lot of people are drinking it and a lot of cafes are serving it in India. Uh, we didn't want to, do the trademark because we want other people to stop selling cranberry coffee. We want as many as people, to sell cranberry coffee and make it more popular. Because ultimately, if it becomes very popular, it's going to help India. It's going to help, put just not India but Hyderabad also on the global map. So we wanted to document it and we wanted to make sure that at least down the line 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, if somebody Googles or somebody checks that where was it originated, where was it born, at least people would know that it was discovered in Hyderabad, it was discovered in India,
Right.
and it was made by Roastery Coffee House. So that's the whole idea of getting a trademark,
Mm-hmm.
not because we want people to stop selling this, but we want people to take inspiration. And probably if you have any kind of recipes, for example, I'm sure you love cooking or making something at home. So if you know something which is different, which is unique, which is not a copy from the world, which is your own creation, I think you should go and do the trademark. Because the whole world is about documentation. If you don't
Right,
document
right,
things nicely,
right.
in a history books, you're just gonna get lost.
That's really inspiring. How do you strike a balance between innovation and tradition in your coffee offerings? Are there any emerging trends or ideas in the coffee industry that you're excited to explore?
I mean, I have a very different perspective to look at. There is one part that you follow the trend, and there's another part where you create the trend. So I don't really believe in following the trend. uh, rather, my energy is focused on creating something new,
Right,
which
right.
should become a trend and then people follow it. So technically, I'm not a part of trend. I'm, just trying to do my work and then which people eventually like. That's all.
That's a great point. What are the biggest challenges you face as a brand owner?
There is a challenge every day, but I don't see anything as a challenge. I was just reading somewhere a couple of months ago, and then I realized that it resembles me
Mm.
because anything that you do, and if you get a success out of it, the success is only this. So have to enjoy the process because let's say for example you are in I think fifth standard, right?
Yeah, right.
So when you study so hard and then exam comes and then you pass in the exam with
Mm-hmm.
top notch marks and everything. I think that happiness is only going to stay for maybe that kick of that getting the highest number mark in the college school will only stay for probably half an hour a day or two and three or four or maybe for 15 days. But what makes it more beautiful that if you are studying and if you're studying well and then you're enjoying that 1 year, so that is what makes it very very unique. So there are a lot of challenges. There's enough amount of challenge every day, and especially we are in food and beverage industry, so every second is a challenge. Probably I'm sitting with you and doing a podcast, and then
Right,
I pick up my call next, and then I
right.
realize that something has gone wrong in the cafe, maybe from a service perspective or
Mm.
maybe from a quality perspective or any kind of perspective. So those challenges are there, but I don't see any of the challenge as the biggest challenge. I
Okay.
think the bigger challenge is to build a philosophy. If you have built a philosophy, and when I say philosophy, I'm not like talking about those book philosophy, but if you build a thought process, I think that's more challenging. So building that thought process that okay, we want to put Indian coffee on the world map, we want to be an international brand, that is very challenging. So you have to struggle and you have to work hard to
Mm-hmm.
build that challenge. Once to build that philosophy, once you build that philosophy, that thought process, I think rest everything is quite easier.
Got that, got that. How do you see your brand evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, especially in the way coffee industry is changing?
I really don't have an exact answer to this, but yes, we want to make good quality coffee. We want to serve good quality coffee. We want our customers to be happy. We want our guests to be happy. Like we don't have many measures. I don't think I'm a part of any race where I say that I want to open 100 cafes or 200 cafes or maybe 500 cafes or reach this kind of number or that kind of number. But yes, I want to keep brewing good cup of coffee. I want my team to be happy. I want my
Right,
customers
right,
to be happy. I want a review system to be strong because our industry is all about word of mouth. Like for example, if you end up liking
right,
a
right,
pizza or maybe coffee burger at my place, and then you'll go and tell five of your friends, so they'll eventually also come.
right,
So the point is that I don't have any set target,
right.
but yes, we are looking forward to open cafes in every city of India and probably in the every city of the world.
Right.
That's what we're looking forward to do. But to put a timeline to it, maybe 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, it might happen in 2 years, if the world changes with that speed, or it might happen in 15 years also. But
Okay.
one thing is there that we are here to stay. Like we are not a part of any race that we have to, we have to run and then finish. But we want that running around to be for the lifelong. Yeah.
That's amazing. Entrepreneurship often requires resilience. What has kept you motivated and driven during tough times?
I, you know, I think I should tell you this thought process of mine. Motivation is something I don't feel is a right word. It's a very overhyped word. I mean, please don't take it otherwise, but I feel that it's a very overhyped word. If you are looking for a motivation, then I think you are always not gonna do what you want to do.
Aye, aye.
Like as I mentioned a couple of times, that
Mm-hmm.
that philosophy, that thought process is very important. And then by hook or by crook, you have to be there.
Hmm.
So even though you're feeling low, you're feeling lazy, or maybe you have some unsuccessful unproductive work or one productive day, and then you have done bad things or maybe made bad choices, I don't think I should look forward for motivation. Like for the
Right.
longest period of time, like almost for the initial first 25 years of my life,
Hmm.
I was always looking forward for motivation. That okay, I'm looking for motivation so that
Right.
I can do something in my life. But then eventually I realized that it's not about motivation. I mean, like, it's about building the thought process, building the philosophy, building what you want to do in your life. And then once you build that, then you just keep moving towards it. You don't need a motivation, or you don't need any other kind of thing to influence you, because if you're motivated today, then and
Right,
let's say
right.
if you're down tomorrow, then you would need motivation again. So a maximum amount of time in your life is going under that finding that motivation.
Right.
So if you're just looking for a motivation, then you're not going to do anything.
Mm. Hats off to you.
Thank you.
Let's do a quick rapid fire round with fun, caffeinated energy. Describe the Roastery Coffee House experience in 3 words.
Very simple: quality coffee, quality food, and quality service. In fact, to be precise, high quality Indian coffee.
Right. 2. How many cups of coffee per day?
10.
Oh my god. If you could have coffee with any entrepreneur, who would it be?
Uh, I mean, he's not an entrepreneur technically, but if it's my wish, I would love to have a cup of coffee. And he doesn't even drink coffee. I don't know if he drinks. He drinks a lot of tea. But if I have to drink, I would probably pick Mahendra Singh Dhoni to have a cup of coffee with him. Yeah.
Wow. Best piece of business advice you've ever received.
I mean, just not one. I keep receiving a lot of business advices on a daily basis, and it's very difficult for me to just say one. But yes, I mean, what I would like to say that you should surround yourself with high performance people, people who has done a lot in their life and who has a
Great.
lot of
Yeah.
experiences, and probably you get to hear a lot of
Right,
advice.
right. What's more important, passion or strategy when it comes to running a business?
I think both. I mean, like, strategy without passion, it's not going to give you anything. And just passion and not, having a great strategy also will not, bring anything for you. So you should have a combination of both. And that's what people say, that, you should do something that you love, because that love brings the passion. And then, if you have an acumen, then it builds a strategy. Then you build a strategy on it.
Okay, let's just do some fun, light-hearted questions. If Roastery Coffee House had a signature coffee drink named after you, what would be called? What would be in it?
And this is I don't know, this is very tricky, but yeah, I love Americano. I mostly drinking Americano throughout the day. So probably the name would have been Tikeno or something. I don't know, it's too funny, but I really don't know what it would be. And then probably it would have a bit of I don't really know exactly, but yeah, maybe an Americano with just a hint of a bit of juice in it. Maybe
Right.
kind of maybe the cranberry coffee that we
Right.
make is more of an, yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
tasty.
but just a hint of just a bit of cranberry juice in it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What's one coffee shop or cafe from around the world that you'd love to visit?
See, my favorite cafe in the world is Roastery Coffee House, Hyderabad. That's where my journey started, and there is no better place. I mean, personally, I would say that there's no better place for me than going and sitting and drinking coffee. Every day, I look forward to go to Hyderabad,
Right,
especially the Hyderabad Roastery Coffee House, where I
okay.
really want to sit in the garden and drink a cup of coffee.
What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you outside of your coffee expertise?
Oh, maybe my dedication.
Great,
That
great, great.
that I'm a very hardworking guy, and that is something I don't know if people know about this or not. But yeah, if I want to be known in the world, I want to be known as the most hardworking guy.
Great choice. If you were a coffee bean, what type would you be and why?
uh Maybe if I was the coffee beans, I would have been the finest coffee beans and the finest coffee quality beans in the
Right,
world,
okay.
but probably somebody who is grown in India. The coffee beans was grown in India.
Nice. If you had to choose a celebrity to represent Roastery Coffee House in a commercial, who would it be and why?
Mahendra Singh Dhoni, without doubt. I'm a big fan.
Nice, nice.
Do you know, Kian, how many cups of cranberry coffee we have sold in last 6 months?
Probably 10,000, 20,000, 30,000,
Little up. We're not even very close at all.
50K.
We have sold around 1 lakh cup of
Oh my
cranberry
god.
coffee in last 6 months.
That's amazing. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Kiyan Chronicles. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with Nishant Kumar Sinha, the founder of Roastery Coffee House. His journey of turning passion into a successful business is truly inspiring. If you haven't already, be sure to visit Roastery Coffee House and experience it for yourself. Remember to subscribe and like to the podcast for more incredible stories like this. Until next time, keep brewing your path to success.